I do believe the Yankees are going to win more than 89.5. I expect the Yankees to win between 94 and 95 this year. I think they win the division hands down by at least 3 to 4 games. It's hard to argue right now with the Red Sox. I think the Red Sox, with some of the acquisitions they made, if they can stay healthy, the addition of Alex Bregman and obviously Rafael Devers, their lineup of Trevor Stories. I mean, this is a really good lineup if they can stay healthy. And they got pitching. They've added additional pitching in the offseason. Their rotation's pretty good. Their bullpen, they're going to add some young bats to this rotation this season and some good pitching too. So I think the Red Sox are going to win about 88, 89 games. And I think they're the second best team right now in the American League East. The problem right now with the Baltimore Orioles is their pitching. I don't trust their pitching. And I think they're going to win about 87.5. I wouldn't even be surprised if they win 88 or 89, but I think they're like a half a game or maybe a game under the Red Sox. Losing Corbin Burns was a big loss. And they did add Charlie Morton. He's a great playoff pitcher, but he can't stay healthy. Charlie Morton is not a guy that stays healthy all season long. He fights injury after injury after injury. I worry about Charlie Morton, and they have their roster of youth is sensational. They got a great lineup. I expect them to be even better than they were last year. I just don't know if their pitching is going to hold up enough this year where they're going to be able to compete with a Red Sox or a Yankee team they've got some big bombers as well, and veteran bombers. The Blue Jays are going to be really, really bad this year. I don't think the Blue Jays are going to be any good. Right now, they're expected to win 78.5. I think they win a little bit more than that. I don't think their roster is that bad, especially with some of these guys that are looking to get big contracts in the offseason. Bichette's going to be looking for a big contract. We all know Guerrero's going to be looking for a new contract. These guys are going to have big seasons. They're going to need to put up big numbers if they expect to make a lot of money. So I expect both guys to have big seasons. And I think their roster is decent. They're all washed. They look like they're all washed up players besides the two guys that I mentioned. I don't know if the Blue Jays have enough to stay or even compete in the American League like the other three teams that I just mentioned. And then there's the Rays. And as well as they've been coached and as far as their executives are concerned, they're one of the best in baseball. They're saying they're going to win 85.5 games. I don't think so. I think they have one of the best pitchers in baseball, who I can't pronounce his name. But the fact is, I just don't know what else they have. Their roster is up and down. They have some young players that might be called up this year. Two of them are in, as far as baseball digest is concerned, are in the top 20 right now in baseball. But I don't know much about them. And this is a roster that has lost a tremendous amount of talent. Their shortstops looks like he's going to go to jail for a very long time. And I just don't know where the Rays are at as an organization. So Yankees with 94, Red Sox between 89 and 90. I think Baltimore this year between 88 and 89. The Jays, I think they lose the most games in the division at 70, 78, 79. And I would say the same. I would say both teams, the Rays and the Blue Jays, are right around the same. So I think that's where they're going to be.
I get Yankees too, but I think I would venture to say there's going to be 3 in the East. Tampa obviously is Tampa. The one thing that you got to think about too, they're in a different realm. They're in a different capacity of anything that they've ever done because they're playing at Yankee spring training. Yes, they made it like their own, but that's tough to do because it just sometimes doesn't feel like home. I don't disregard Kevin Cash and what he does because with his payroll, we've seen what he's done in years previous where you're like, how in the hell are they even in the playoff contention and what they're doing with what they have? Because they obviously don't spend a lot, but what it comes down to is good coaching and how he does things, and probably the frontline guy of, we're going to start a bullpen guy. The Orioles, if you can get their guys to stay healthy, with Rodriguez. It could be, I think you get these young kids that finally, because we saw what Jackson Holiday did in his second upbringing after what he did when he first came up, getting comfortable, because it always is weird, getting up there and having, obviously carrying the name too. That's tough to do because his dad not was only one of the nicest baseball players I've ever met, but was an absolute dude.
Biggest forums in the league for sure.
Dog, you thought like he was scary when you talked to him, and he was just like, "Hey, how you doing? Everything good?" I was like, "Whoa!" As a baseball fan, you go up to these guys and you see these things, and it's like Jim Tomei was another one for me in that aspect where you're like, he's like, "You bet. You need anything? Yeah, can I get a jersey?" He's like, "You bet." You just one of the nicest, greatest human beings ever. It's crazy when you get these guys, these young guys, especially with the Orioles. If they put it together, they could be scary.
It could be scary for years. They're a young team. They're coming off a great season.
I'm going to go, obviously, Yankees winning.
How many wins?
The East. I'm going to go 97. I'm going to go 97.
I got 95, 94, 95.
I go the Red Sox. The Red Sox, I think, are going to go 90.
Kind of like
I think the Orioles go 92.
I like that.
The Rays will go.
You never know.
I hate doing the Rays because I'm like, they always pull something out of their two-hole. They're trying to find a dude wipe, and they can't, and something just happens.
As long as she's using dude wipes and taking care of my two-hole, I'm good.
You just made the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays will be sellers, and
I pulled it out of my ass.
I think the Blue Jays are 70, and the Rays, I'm gonna say 81.
I like it. Obviously we all have the Yankees at the top of the list here. Second is a toss.
How many wins?
Toss-up.
How many wins for the Yankees?
I was going to say 98, but I'm going to go with let's just round it out to 100.
Okay.
I think they'll get 100 wins this year.
Okay.
I think they're that good. I think their defense needs some work. It's a little bit early, but their defense definitely needs some work, but their pitching will be fine. They have enough depth. We've covered that last couple shows. Depth is the name of the game. They have a lot of depth. They're not afraid to spend. Their defense will come around, but their their offense is so incredibly potent that it's just, it's a nightmare for any opposing pitcher. And you're playing in the AL East where most of the ballparks are fairly small. They have a chance. And they're using the torpedo bats too, which that's been around for a while. Not against the rules. Only a couple games in, but I like what I'm seeing so far. I think they do have something special there in the Bronx. They stay healthy. Their pitching staff stays healthy. You're going to get Luis Hill back. Clark Schmidt's going to come back. And I think they're just going to fire on all cylinders. And then second is a toss-up between Boston and Baltimore. Devers has not started out hot this year. It's only been a couple games, but wondering if the not playing defense is wearing on him as just an offensive player. That can affect guys because at least in defense, you have a chance to impact the game defensively if you're not making a statement offensively that night. And now that he's not making a statement offensively, it could be impacting his morale or maybe his psyche or something. I don't know about the Red Sox. Errol, we spoke about this a couple weeks ago. I think Baltimore is a very talented team. They have veterans sprinkled all in there throughout their lineup. They lost some guys, Santander. They lost some players. You can't coach experience, and they got a lot of experience last year. And I think that team is going to be tough because not only are they're young, they're hungry. And they did get Felix Bautista back. His small sample size hasn't been great, but he's an elite power back end arm, which I loved watching. So I'm excited to see him. Kevin Cash and the Rays, mixed bag. You never know what you're going to get with them. They always find a way. They're like Cleveland. They're like the AL East Cleveland. Like they don't always look the best on paper, but they always gel the best. And Kevin Cash is another Terry Francona product. And, can't say enough good things about him and the way that he handles his staff. Toronto, I don't know. I don't know what the outlook's going to look like for them. I don't know about Toronto. I hope Chad Green takes it. I hope Gosman turns it around. I like Jose Barrios. So we'll see what happens. Bo Bichette's great. I think he's good. Vladimir Guerrero is also an elite player. And I don't know, but I do think they'll probably end up being sellers at the deadline. Unfortunately, I like their players. I like what they're doing there. I just don't know if they have the winning recipe right now.
All right, I'm going to be controversial. No one's saying anything controversial yet. The Red Sox are going to suck this year. I'm going to put this out there. I don't think they're any good. Garrett Crochet was just given more money than anyone who's never averaged 5 innings a game that they pitch. He averages 4 1/3 innings. He had 32 quote-unquote starts last year. He only had 100.
Yeah, but you can't say that because he was in the bullpen before that.
But he doesn't go. They didn't pitch him. They only got him to get those starts because they used him as an opener late in the season. So it's a misleading stat. That guy has a lot of talent. But how many guys pitch? This is the first time he was ever over 100 innings in his entire career. Ever. I don't know what he did in college. But 145 last year between starting and the bullpen. That guy's not giving you depth this year. Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony, and the other one who they actually did promote, the second baseman, I forget his name right now, Campbell. They're not going to be studs this year. They're not going to be up this year. This is a team that's going to be good in a couple of years when Crochet can be extended out and pitch 7-8 innings and be that guy that we all expect him to be. Meyer is, I think, going to be the best of those guys. He looks great. He's not up yet. He hasn't played is his first couple at bats in AAA right now. They're not ready. They don't have the same team. I look at them and the Orioles side by side. The Orioles are a much better lineup, and they have about, the Boston pitching staff's all hurt. I mean, Bellows hurt, Cutter Crawford's hurt.
You're only 3 games into the season. Come on.
Giolito's hurt.
Stop.
But those are 3 guys that's supposed to be in their rotation. They're not a healthy team already. And Devers, let me get news for you. Devers is batting at Devers is percentage of hard hit balls. He was in like the 90s when he was going real well. He was slowed down to the 60s last year, or high 60s, and then the second half of the year he had a bad shoulder and he went down to 61. This season he's at 19% percentile in Major League Baseball. That guy has a bad shoulder, and he didn't have surgery in the offseason, and it's not better. And he's pouting because of the position change at the same time. This is a team that has a really great player young player in Jarren Duran at the top, and a bunch of guys. Bregman is not the same player he was when he was a little bit younger. Obviously, a great player, not really at that same level. I don't see them competing. And just look at the Orioles. The Orioles have Eflin in the rotation. They have a halfway decent rotation. Rodriguez comes back. I don't think their rotation's worse than the Red Sox for this year specifically. And then you look at their lineup's much better. Jordan Westburg's for real at the top of their lineup. Adley Rutschman's one of the best catchers in baseball. Tyler O'Neill's really like a great platoon guy. They just lost Colton Cowser to a broken hand, stealing a base. So he'll be out a couple of months. But he was he came in 3rd for Rookie of the Year last year. Mountcastle's a halfway decent player.
Mountcastle's good, dude.
I was going to say Mountcastle's a little bit better than decent.
Well, no, but if you're going to compare him, who batted 4th for the Red Sox today? Rob Refsnyder. I'm going to leave it at that.
My boy, dude.
He's a good player. Is he a cleanup hitter on a team that's supposed to win 90 games?
Is Jazz Chisholm a cleanup hitter? Come on,
if he has 2 home runs with the torpedoes, he is.
Yeah, but you want to go back and look at his numbers? He's not a 4-hole hitter.
No, you're not wrong about that. But But Refsnyder's more of a bottom of the lineup guy traditionally in his career.
Brother,
right?
He hits high 200s like every year.
Oh,
Refsnyder.
I don't want to say he's bad. I miss him when he was on the Yankees, but I don't think people are looking at him as a guy
just so you know.
That's going to be a 4-hitter on a team that's going to win 90 games, be a wild card team.
Your lineup nowadays is set up so different. Judge was in the 2-hole.
I know. But I didn't even get to some of these guys on the Orioles. Like Mullins is a good
as
player.
long as she's using
Jackson
dude watch and
Holliday
taking care of my 2-hole, I'm
hasn't
good.
even scratched the surface yet, right? Yeah, it's, playing short, second base, whatever they decide to do with him. And Heston Kjerstad is another really good hitter. I mean, they have guys everywhere.
That's why I said the Orioles and the Red Sox are tough, because I think the Orioles are going to be slightly better. They just have to have their pitching staff has to be there.
Story's washed up, guys. Story hasn't had a good season in 3 years.
What are your records so we can
I'm
go
going
on?
the Yankees at 98 wins. I don't think this division's very good after the Yankees. I think you have a bunch of 500 teams after that. I think you're going to get the Orioles, the best of the bunch, at about 85 because their staff's banged up. I think you're going to have the Rays at exactly 500 because that's what the Rays do, because that's who the Rays are. And I think that the Red Sox are going to be at like 79 wins, and I agree with everyone else. The Blue Jays are going to bottom out. Berrios is terrible. He looks really bad. He might be one of the worst pitchers in baseball right now, unfortunately.
All right.
That's how bad it is. He's really fallen off. I don't know what happened to the guy, but it's like he gets lit up. I mean, him and Nestor Cortez, I guess, at Yankee Stadium, get lit up right now in baseball.